guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be installing the electronics on the Cross RC HC6. Here we have the servo for the 2-speed transmission. We're going to be using a servos waterproof servo for the steering, and we're going to be using a Hobbywing quick run crawler brushed electronic speed controller. This controller is rated at 80 amps. And we are going to be using the stock Cross RC brushed motor. So let's dive in and get these installed. So here I've installed the electronics for the Cross RC HC6. I'm going to give you a quick rundown as to how I have my rig set up. So here I have the Futaba T4 PLS. This is a 4-channel controller. I'm using it for the full 4 channels on the build. So here we have the steering servo right there. Right here we have the motor, that's channel 2. So the steering servo is channel 1, channel 2 is the motor, channel 3 is the servo that switches the high speed to the low speed, and channel 4 controls the lights. So here I have here with me the switch here that would be controlling the channel 4 for the lights. Here I have the switch here for the truck to switch between high and low gear. So here you can hear it making the switch. Right. The steering is normal. So let me show you how I have the wiring set up. Here is the diagram provided with the manual. So we can see here that the receiver is located here. We have the channel 1 goes straight into the receiver. However, channel 2 has to be on a Y harness for the controller and the ESC. So basically the controller is getting information from the ESC to know which position of the throttle the truck is in to provide the necessary output for the brake lights. I'll show you the function of that in just a second. For the channel 3 it goes straight, no harness, and for the channel 4 you have to connect there is no harness also. However, on my build I have 2 separate modules for the lights. So here is the controller here. This is the factory controller, right? That's this one right here. And this here is my other controller I'll be using. This controller is to control the lights inside the interior of the cab, separate from the headlights for the truck. So in my receiver here you can see it's a bit of a mess, but I have 2 harnesses. So the first harness is the channel 2, which has the Hobbywing quick run WP80 brushed ESC along with the channel 2 on the module here. And in channel 4 I have a Y harness from the receiver that connects to the factory module and the separate module I have for the cab assembly. For the winch I have it set up independently. So I have the power cable run under the ESC box to the side here, and here is the wireless controller neatly tucked next to the frame rail, and the power supply for this will be located inside of this gas tank here. I simply drilled a hole in the back of the gas tank, and I have a flap here you can see where I would be putting the battery in to supply the power for the winch. And this is the battery I'll be using. It's a 2S LiPo battery. You can get these on Banggood for like $5. Over here, same setup. I'll be using another battery just like the one I mentioned for the controller here for the cab. So how this controller works, you have a input, output and signal wire. So the signal wire goes to the receiver box, and when you flip the switch, it will tell the module when to send out the input power to the output power, and it will take it off when you request it to do so. So let's get the cab on and see how it looks. Okay guys, I just want to mention that the cover for the ESC box, the holes was not lining up. I'm not sure if I glued it up wrong or I made a mistake somewhere along the line. So here's what I did to combat the situation. Here is the pre-drill holes for the edge. I took my Dremel and I just made a slot all the way out on all 4 corners. Here you can see it with the screw and the washer. So what this creates is I can slide the cover back and forth so I can evenly screw it on all the holes, because the original holes was not lining up due to the way in which I glued the ESC box. After I finish secure it, I'm going to be waterproofing the box tight, because since the cab will be fixed on the truck and the only place you have to go is in the back here to insert the battery, I want to make sure that I have as much moisture outside of this as possible, so wherever we are on the trail it will not affect anything. Yeah boy, good to see it, man. Here is the final moments of seeing the internals of the Cross RC HC6. This build is almost complete. Here you can see I have the light module on top of the ESC box, and I have neatly tucked away all the wires for the wireless controller for the winch, the other wireless module for the light switch, and all of the other wiring for the various servos and the ESC. If you're wondering what this paste is on the box, I did waterproof the ESC box with shoe glue. You can pick this up at your local hardware store. For the power switch, I have it in the bottom here. I will be securing it under the cab. I'll show you that in a moment, but here is how the transmission looks with all the wires nice and neatly tucked, and of course waterproof should anything happen on the trail.